Welcome to Coach Peggy Real Time, a transformation coaching docuseries. And this week, we're so excited that you came back again. And let's see how Faith and Rita and Troy are doing this week. Last week, we ended the show with them writing a letter for a relationship, something that maybe stirred up something negative, or they haven't talked to the person for a while, or there was some angst, right? That's what they had to do this last week. And kitchen audit number 3, what in the hell have they gotten rid of in their kitchen this time? You guys, I'm really hitting them with exercise. So I can't wait to see what video they did this week because they had some 80s music. I can't wait to see if Troy did it and just some super fun stuff. So I'm glad that you're back. Let's see how they did. Yeah, grab a cup of coffee for this one. I have orange crayon on my eyes. Allergy meds consumed. Rita, I brought this a little bit for us, BioFreeze.
Excellent.
Little bit of roll-on deodorant for us. I know you've had neck issues. Do not eat this at home. Oh boy, I love BRoll, everybody. Good times here at Richmond High. All right, so welcome back. We had a pretty cool week, Roy. So welcome back. We had a pretty cool week, Roy.
My name is Troy.
There's a Roy in here.
Roy?
How many cuts?
What about you, Faith? Integrity promises this week. How did you do? Was it tough to stick to some of your commitments?
I've stuck to all my commitments, but it has been a really tough week for me.
Was it busier than the week before for you? Because you had a rough week.
It's not been busy, I think I've been more tired. I've been more emotional. I've had to relook at how I'm doing my exercise, and it's just been a lot of feelings coming up that I think I've been struggling with.
I get happy when feelings come up. Just because the opening of the show, I've already used half of my tissue box, but I love to stir up emotions. Breakdowns are breakthroughs. So I'm not the biggest emotional queen out there too. Anybody who knows me closely, I don't like to show my emotions either. So I suppress the hell out of them. Just went on air saying that, but I don't know of many people. Well, that's not true. There are people out there who go, wow, I just had a good cry. I never got that. I never understood that, even though conceptually I understand that that's healthy to deal with your problems and conquer them and all of that stuff. But I get you, girl. What about you? Did you have a hard time this week, Troy, with integrity and keeping your promises?
Yeah, some. I mean, it was a busy week. I had a lot going on personally, and work wasn't bad this week. Actually, I was pretty much in the office the majority of the week, and which is nice because it's kind of a normal thing.
Yeah.
But I had a lot going on behind the scenes, family-wise. So trying to deal with all that, and again, kind of like what Faith said, emotionally and just trying to deal with all of it was tough. So I did struggle with it. There were some things I didn't hit, and it's frustrating and it bothers me, but those are the things that keep me going, is when I don't hit something and I don't do what I'm supposed to do, then it just kind of ticks me off and makes me want to do it more. So
yes, if we hover right there for a quick second, remember that wheel, we can be going along on a gorgeous road and we think everything is totally under control, and then you get into a construction zone and you come up with some debris and it just shit shows your wheel, right? And that's why it's really important to be as emotionally resilient as possible. And it sounds simple, but just to expect the unexpected. Once we just know that it's not a Troy story, or that Rita always messes up, or something's going to always happen to Faith, and you just learn to expect it and it happens to everybody, there can, take some pressure off that, just knowing that, shit's going to happen. It's how resilient you are and how quick you get back on or keep up with the repairs on your wagon. That's the deal. People who avoid that engine light doesn't mean the engine light goes away. Just like the scale. I just had a conversation with a client of mine on Friday who's avoided the scale for 2 weeks. And I said, how'd that go for you? Well, my weight was still up. Did you think it was going to go down because you didn't step on the scale? I mean, it's you can't avoid something and expect. So that's the thing, Troy, is that last week when you had your 168, you left the show saying, hey, I really got to work on my time this week and manage my time. But our focus was work. Like, what are we going to do to help Troy around building his wellness into work? And then all of a sudden it shifts to relationship and family this week, and work was okay. So how do we become that, malleable, moldable? All right, you guys, how are you doing on your TV and your screen time? Right, Faith? You've reduced it a lot, right? Are you done playing your games, Faith? Hell no. I got something for you guys. Did you have a big aha this week? Did you have a big aha this week, Faith? What are you finding out with cutting back your screen time?
I've really been struggling to reduce the screen time. And it's I think there was a lot of resistance at first. It was because I realized I needed to move all my devices into another room, because if there was anything there, it was more of a temptation. And it started off really well at the beginning of the week, but then when I was more emotional, I was finding I was using it more as a distraction.
That was your coping skill, right? I offend a lot of people, and so I always preface it. We all are aholics or addicts of some kind, right? Whether it's drugs, gambling, alcohol, sex, workaholic, whatever it is. Why do we do that? Because somewhere along the way, our reward system kicked in and said, wow, that's better than this shit I'm going through. So somewhere along the way, in your book back here, is a reward system that said, hey, I'm going to go do that. So this week, Faith, you had a great step. You put your drug of choice, right? Your addiction in one place. You're like, whoa, too tempting. So it's like someone putting their cocaine in one room, right? Or their, dirty magazines in a corner so mama can't find them. Rated 18 and over. Anyways, for those kids who still live at home with their parents, not mine. Anyway, my point is you put them in the other room, but what happened when you're still struggling is you're looking for that fill for your addiction. Same thing we do with food, right? Sitting down watching TV, pull out the habit book, 9 o'clock at night. This is when I usually have popcorn, go to get the popcorn. It's just a habit, even if you have it tucked away. All right, this week we also talked about, you guys started really using those wellness logs, the All Things Wellness log. We showed them on the screen. If you guys haven't seen them from last week's show, they are a very complex document. Some people log on MyFitnessPal, that's okay, but I have you guys using this document because it tracks all sorts of stuff, right? Sleep and foods and macros and emotions and exercise, water that you drink, whether you want to give yourself a wellness grade. Rita, is anything falling out as you start to document more of those parts of your life and see it on paper?
It's a big eye opener. I mean, I track my stuff on my Fitbit. Like I'll still log my food and water and all that, but it's easier for me to see the protein, the fat, the carbs. And then I write the fiber in there, because I've been keeping track of that too, making sure I'm getting close or meeting at 25 grams a day. But it's a big eye opener. But I also noticed, like, as the week progressed, that my sleep was like getting less and less and less. So like by Friday, I had I think 5 hours and 45 minutes of sleep. And it hit me because yesterday I ended up sleeping until 8, and that's very late for me. I mean, weekends or not, I'm always up at 5:30, 6 o'clock. So by 6, I'm like starting to get my steps in and all that. So I had a late start yesterday, but I noticed as the week progressed that I was kind of losing sleep. I didn't really feel it. I wasn't grumpy or anything, but that log was a big eye opener. Though I mean, I was logging stuff away like crazy.
Yeah, so what I want you to do, you're a little bit ahead, but this is what this group is doing. You guys, I had to slow these people down and going way ahead. which just means they're teachers' pets, which is what I said last week. We're going to keep talking about this in the future. But one thing I'd like you to do is now that you have those logs and you've had an aha that your vessel, your body has said to you, wow, I'm not sleeping that much. That's a really big alarm system. Okay. Headaches are a big one. Getting injured is big, sickness. But when your sleep starts to go down, now I want you to start to lay those logs out and see what your story can start to unfold. For many people, when their sleep starts to be affected, like on day 3 or 4, they can go back and see an increase in carbs or the type of carbs, low protein, what was their workout. They can look at their emotion. They can start to see this peak and valley of maybe even in your case, it's not enough nutrition. You're missing some components. So to start to say, okay, this is the night, Friday night, I noticed blank, and look back and dissect it a little bit. And let's see what falls out with that. Does that make sense? Yeah. Good job. Faith, are you liking logging all your shit down on that piece of paper?
I am actually. I think it's a really good tool, and I've filled out most of the sections. I think I realised I don't sort of build in enough sort of self-care. I've noticed when my water's been down that I've not slept as well, and I felt sort of really sort of dehydrated in the morning on the following day. And it's also helped me sort of like to look at my emotions. It's sort of, if I've not been sleeping really very well, then I'm really sort of irritable in the mornings, and it sort of has a knock-on day to my whole day.
Absolutely. Lack of sleep, you guys, concentration camps, and when you're a prisoner of war, what's the first thing they do? They take away your food. Yeah, I get it. We can live for a long time without food. Dipping into our fat storage for energy is what our body's going to do. Little bit of water and take that sleep away from you. And pretty soon we're telling some trade secrets because we get loony bin up in here. We start seeing things, right? You guys know that. You start seeing shadows where shadows don't exist. You start hearing things that don't make sense. You start not knowing how you got home. Have you guys ever done that when you're driving? Like, I don't even know how I got here. Sleep deprivation does a lot of things. All right, Troy, I know you've had a crazy week, but it's just an excuse if you haven't done it. Did you write anything down this week on your wellness?
Oh yeah, every day. I got all my logs are done for the most part. I didn't get as detailed as far as the grams of fats and that kind of stuff, but all my foods were logged down. Wasn't the greatest week eating, I'll be honest. Especially over this weekend. Yesterday was kind of Friday and yesterday was kind of a tough one. But I kept up on all my logs. And
so tell me what you are noticing, because if you're writing things down, there has to pretty soon be, oh, not so good. Not so good. Why is it 7 days later it's not so good?
Honestly, I haven't looked back to see where I was struggling and what the correlation between food, exercise, and sleep and where I was struggling is at. I have not had that chance to look back at it, but I do want to do that. And, progressively this week, my sleep has gotten less. But again, schedule has been part of that. So it's kind of hard. I need to actually sit down and look at the numbers.
You do. And that's what we're going to do this week. But I just want to have you put a certain lens on it. That was cool. I haven't done that since I was a kid. Put a certain lens on it, because when you're working a lot, your story is going to be, oh, of course my eating's off. Look at my schedule. Oh my God, right? When your work is decreased and you have more of a regular schedule, if your weight is going up when you have more time because you're like, oh man, I worked a lot. Right? It's almost like an opposite factor. You'll see, worked a lot, weight comes down. Didn't work so much, weight went up. You'll start to see behaviors fall out and the excuses will go away. Because you'll see in tonight's episode where I say pretty harshly, that's your story. You're sticking to it. You didn't want to do it, whatever it is. All right, increased fiber, you guys, this week. Weren't you surprised, or were you surprised a little bit on how low? We don't eat much fiber. Faith, how did you do? You do pretty well with fruits and vegetables. How did you do on fiber?
I think I was surprised at just how little fibre is in most things. Even something like oats, we'd think there'd be a lot of fibre. There's not a great deal. So it's trying to sort of switch up sort of some of the things to try and just increase. And some days I'd sort of gone over it slightly, and some days I was falling short. So it was trying to hit that 25 grams a day was quite difficult.
Yeah, the more packaged your foods are, the more they're in boxes, the more packaged they are, the more not real. They're going to have a lot less fiber. And if you eat juice, if you drink juices versus eating the fruits, forget about it. You're not going to get, I always say eat your oranges instead of drinking your orange juice. It just, so many reasons it's healthy, but all right. Tempting foods in the house too. That was, one of the ones we chatted about is we said, hey, if you drink alcohol or you're a salt person or a sugar person, let's start to, because I'm not all or nothing behavior, because that's not going to last long term. It's when you start to look at things and have the aha, wow, I have a lot of sugar in the house. And then you say, do I need it all? Why do I have it? Could I reduce it? Is it the sugar that I like? And you start to process and be mindful and reduce and reduce. Then long-term habits, healthy habits embed. So this week, Rita, were there some things in the house that you looked at that are a little excessive that you tried to reduce this week? Tempting foods you took out?
One was the creamer, coffee creamer.
You took it away or did you reduce it? You just reduce it?
No, I took it away, like cold turkey. There's that whole black and white thing again. Cold turkey. Once you told me about those protein drinks, I went and got some, and that's what I've been having in my coffee. And reducing the size of coffee. So I would have like a big thermos type. It was probably like 24 ounces, but I'm down to like just doing an 8-ounce cup. And then I put like a third of that.
Troy and I were like, Troy literally just spewed across the room because Troy and I consume 32 ounces of coffee a day. Oh, this is like just not even half. I was watching him up in the corner and he literally spit on you.
I did not. I did not.
You know what? I want to, in all seriousness, tell you that I want to commend you for that, because people taking away that artificial creamer, the good old, that is one of the most difficult things, because we are in love for so many reasons. Our morning coffee, we have that habit, or tea, but we have that morning where we wake up and the family gets up and we smell the brew, or if it's after work, we smell the brew and we see the family and they scoop out the good old powdered creamer and whatever it was your family did, whether it's half and half, whatever it is, there's a memory to it. And then we Gen Xers, I'm gonna say it, along came the peppermint, French vanilla, all that shit, Jesus, it came along and we didn't ever really think about all the chemicals in there. It is, I'm sorry, don't sue me, but it's not quite as healthy as once in a while. Yay to you for, oh my gosh, that's a very tough one. Okay, Troy, I know, I don't know. What was a really long conversation with myself. Troy, reduce any tempting foods this week?
Don't keep a lot of tempting foods in the house. So not a whole lot I'm pretty focused on my foods and where they go. And that's, what I'm using. The coffee is the tough one for me. I use half and half, and that's the one thing I've never really been able to give up. I don't use flavored creamers. I don't use any of that stuff. It's
still at least real food. Yeah. I'm a big real food person. Like, I'd rather have you guys have butter over margarine. Have something real white or brown sugar versus artificial sugar. Sorry, that's just me as a coach giving advice on my beliefs, but I would rather have some real stuff. But okay, good. What about you? Did you have anything, Faith, that was tempting that you had to have a talk and push on out of the house?
I haven't bought any sort of sweet stuff for about sort of 5 or 6 weeks now. So I was more sort of on the opposite side, that I was starting to sort of miss some things. So I think I need sort of some sort of things in my diet that I sort of almost like look forward to have that balance. So I bought just a couple of beers, and I haven't had any yet. I've purposely left them.
Were those beers or bears or beers?
Beers.
Years.
Um,
I'm picking on myself because I'm from New England, so I'd say beer. So.
Look who's got Smart Pack.
Smart Pack?
I bought it's rhubarb and custard cider, and it's just as a treat. So
Troy spit on you now.
Oh, I went, ooh, like that sounds good. That's
It does. Yeah, that's good. So you didn't buy like a case or a pallet. You just bought a few to enjoy. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. So I want to lead right into something I said last week that I want you to think about, because Faith, this is a great lead in. Being a food snob, remember I talked to you guys about that. And I want to just take you through a really quick history, because it's like no kidding when we say this. I grew up in New England, and Dunkin' Donuts is a really big thing up there, right? Obviously, it's everywhere now, and it was never in my town. So when we went to go see my aunt, she was 3 hours away, we would stop at Dunkin' Donuts. Right? At 12, and you'd stand there and you'd look and you'd try to decide. And I was one, I didn't realize I was becoming a food snob back when I was even a teenager until I became a coach and started to look back. I loved all the donut holes, right? So I wanted my little own thing of donut holes. And when you're a food snob, you're going to watch my emotion and my body language. I start to use more adjectives and adverbs when I speak.
See what that tastes like.
Verdict?
Perfect.
When you find your favorite foods, you'll do that too. So here we go. When I would get there, I would walk in, I would see everything, I would smell it. I can still see my grandmother, everybody around me. I would look at it. I would look at the particular ones I wanted. I would pray that there were some in there. If they weren't in there, I was like already disheartened. What was I going to have for the other two flavors? Because there were only 3. I'd get them in my little container and I would sit in the car. And if anybody ate them, they were going to surely die. Don't even ask for them. You've known for 5 years that they're just mine. And I would take them and I would look at them, and I could get 3 bites out of a donut hole, right? It was a party, and it would last miles and miles. And I took that donut thing for years, right up until probably about 2 years ago, where everyone knew it was always, she's going to get her donut holes. Don't touch them. Peggy's going to stab you. She's going to put a sign on them. Here's my point. I got to the place where I wanted one glazed Dunkin' Donut about once a month at 2:00 in the afternoon, heated up for 12 seconds with my coffee. And I am not kidding you. I would sit down at my table and I would cut it into sections, and it would take me about 5 minutes to just sit there and enjoy it and eat it. That's how much of a snob I would like you guys to at least start to process. What foods do you love? Where would you get them? Who would make them? What do they taste like, smell like? And feel the body language and the way you talk about them. My passionate eaters, I can tell, right? People who love Italian food, they're like, oh, they'll talk about oregano, like, oh, the scent and the flavors, and they'll just go through this. But that's the type of thing, Faith, that you just did, is to select a specific kind and an amount and think about the time and get that. Do you guys understand kind of that whole thing? Troy, do you have something that you can think of right now that if I said to you, here's one snobby food that you can eat this week, what would, I'm not assigning that, I'm just saying, what would that food be for you?
Oh yeah, tease me like that.
Well, you can, as long as it's a party, man.
Oh geez, probably maybe cake, like a piece of cake, something like that. I don't eat it often,
right.
but I want a good cake. If I'm gonna have cake, I want a good cake.
Exactly.
I want a damn good cake.
Exactly.
Yeah, probably something like that would be my thing.
See what Troy's, first of all, it took him a while, right? And sometimes with people that it takes a while is they're used to just having a bunch of stuff, right? So I love cookies, let's just say. So they'll have like this kind of cookie and that kind of cookie, and this one's 2 for $1 and that one's 2 for $1. Don't just have cookies to have cookies. Have your 2 or 3 favorite cookies. Eating a whole row of cookies is another concept, another behavior that we talk about, right? But usually when you really have this conversation and you decrease it down to, even if it's 2 donuts, I've done that, right? I'm going to have 2 donuts. That's what I'm going to do. And then the migraine, or whatever might happen in my tummy, I would start to go, worth it? There were times I'd go, yup. Yup, I'll suffer because you're just like, right? Your tongue just is not your friend sometimes. Rita, what would be yours if I said to you, what is your snobby food? Oh, gosh.
A slice of cheese pizza, Brooklyn style cheese pizza from Domino's. Now, if you've ever seen them, those slices are like huge. So I generally cut it in half, which is about a fourth of a slice. But I would do that anyway. I'd be like dicing it and taking little bites, and I'd be like that little quarter slice. That's going to do it. Shove the rest of the pizza away and I'm good.
Yeah, quickly she went there. And then Faith, what would yours be? Something sweet? Do you have something in mind?
A toffee yum yum. I love my donuts and cakes and sweets. But yeah, there's a particular toffee yum yum, and it's got toffee sauce in the middle, and it's just very sweet and glazed.
Okay, first of all, toffee yum yum is the cutest dang thing I've ever heard anybody say. I know I pick on you every week, and I hope the whole entire country of the United Kingdom does not hate my guts, but you're just so cute with your little porridge and your loos and your little toffee yum yums. It's my favorite little girl. Oh my goodness sakes. Oh, that sounds delicious. All right, this last week, you guys, we also talked about that exercise thing that I want to kind of chat about. So we had those strength tests that you did the first week, and then I had you keep on to them last week as well. So they can start to be tough. Why? Because we don't want to do them too long because we're going to get overuse kind of syndrome, right? Because doing as many arm circles forward and back that you can in a minute every day is 100, 150 forward arm circles every single day. We want to make sure that we're diverse. So that you've increased your strength and your range of motion and your form, I'm sure, beautifully. And then you had some more cardio where I said you get double stickers. See who's a sticker chaser, a gem chaser. If you guys did 30 minutes every other day or 30 or more minutes, whatever you did up to 6 days or so. So Troy, how'd you do with exercise this week? Jesus Christ.
Okay, I'm not the teacher's pet, I guess. No, I did okay.
What's your problem? You said your work week was good. God, I can't wait to hear this. Where's my bullshit?
The work week was
silence.
good.
It's another DEFCON 5.
Yeah, I know. I didn't get it done. I had a rough week and I was struggling and I just didn't get it done. I mean, no bullshit.
Define, that's right. Define rough week.
Just again, dealing with a lot of stuff family-wise, trying to get things taken care of with that. But the head gets in the way too, and you just start getting frustrated and you get pissed off and you just say, fuck it, I don't care.
Right.
You know, and that was it. And I tried keeping up on them and I did them for the most part, most of the week, but there were a couple days where I didn't. And I was worn out physically.
How long has it been since you looked at movement and didn't look at it as exercising to be buff and sweat and get to goal, that you looked at movement as a stress release to give you more momentum and mental coherence to do certain things?
Too long, if never really. I mean, honestly, you know, golf, yeah. I mean, that's well, it can be a stress enhancer as well, but you know, I guess I've never really looked at it that way as, you know, as a release, so to speak.
If you can do frustration, walk around the house, pissed off, walk around the house, tired, walk around the house, craving sweets, walk around the house. It puts enough space in there, gets the energy flowing for you to just go, okay, what was that? What was that? What was that? Because otherwise the conversation is just going to be, I'm just going to sit on the couch. I'm going to cope the way, you know, I'm going to cope the way that I used to. And then it becomes an excuse. And because we may have said it for so long, we don't even give it the weight that it needs. We just start to say, we start to think that the excuse doesn't even sound that bad. And it sounds like this. Yeah, I didn't work out this week, even though I'm on this amazing program with lots of support, because like I had some tough phone calls. You know, I had to deal with some tough decisions. Granted, not downplaying the situation you're going through. Instead of, on the other hand, going, man, I'm really grateful. I'm a part of this group. I'm getting healthier by learning coping skills to get the hell outside. I'm talking while I'm walking. You know, just some of those things. Let's move you to that and get you kind of just, it takes a while. Takes a while. We'll get you there. All right, stickers and your gems and all that for rewards. We talked about intrinsic and extrinsic reward system. Can I make myself do certain things and go, hey, Peggy, that's a good job. Enough of a reward just to do it and tell no one. You know, what type of reward system works for me? Do I need to see my weight go down or up? Do I need to see an inch lost? What do I need to see? What are you uncovering, Rita, when you have been able to keep track of either your stickers or start to think about your reward system?
It's very hard for me to pat myself on the back. I'm not used to that. But honestly, what I did was I recorded everything in my notebook, and Saturday morning I'm looking through there. I'm like, hey, I did meet all my water all week. I did do all my exercise all week. So there I am, you know, putting my little stickers in place. So, I mean, I'm like, if I see it, I do it, I record it, but I'm not the one that's going to be sitting there like, oh, let's pull out the stickers now and reward yourself now. It's like, I waited all week and then I look back, I'm like, I did meet all my goals. So that does count for something.
Yeah, it's
so
interesting because your love language, your initial love language, primary love language is quality time. And the second one for you is words of affirmation. But the lesson here with love languages is that is what we typically will do towards others, right? It makes us, our love language obviously makes us feel good. Quality time for you guys is you guys all have that high. Spend time with others, right? Laugh with others, even if you're sitting watching TV with someone, you feel like you're loved, you feel like they love you. When it comes to words of affirmation, that's a tough one because we don't walk around the house going, good job, Peggy, woo, right? Trust me, quality time is mine. And the second one's words of affirmation. And you never hear from your clients you're making a difference. I mean, so trust me. But with you, Rita, if you think about quality time and words of affirmation, if you can try to pull them, so the quality time sitting down and doing your stickers on a Saturday morning and giving you that affirmation doesn't have to come from here. So that feels good because you said you like to see data. That's data for you. Think about that. Troy, what about you? Rewards and recognitions. What are you thinking about?
No, I did pretty good. Like I said, I logged everything for the most part. Sat down every night and tried to, go through the day and
good.
Yes, I did this. I met this. I didn't do that.
Do you have any commonalities of what you're suppressing or not doing or saying you're tomorrowing yourself to death? Is there any?
The physical. That's been the one that I've been shying away from. Well, not shying away from. Maybe I am shying away from it. I don't know. That's the one that I've been. If I cut anything out, that's what I cut out.
It's interesting because that's the same thing in our first phone call. Our first phone call for the show, you said, I've got to get my ass off the couch.
Yeah, it's true.
And that's literally that's your story because, work and lack of movement. And so in 10 years, when we talk, is work and lack of movement still going to be your story? What I would say to you is probably to redefine what exercise and movement means. Because walking to the mailbox and back in 10 times is better than never walking to the mailbox and coming back in 10 times. But if in your head, if I can't do that 30 minutes, then I'll do nothing. If that's what you're thinking, right?
And I had one of those days, gotta look at I got all my stuff laying here. Wednesday, I needed to go to the grocery store. I am a block and a half from the grocery store. So I walked. Rather than drive over, I walked over to the grocery store. It's like, and I took the long way. I kind of went down and around and I did it that way. I was like, okay, I can get some extra time in here to do this. And fortunately, that was a good day where I thought about it. And, it's like I said, but that's where I struggle is with the physical aspect.
Note to self.
Note to self.
Note to this self. Faith, how are you doing with your reward?
I found it a really good tool to check on a daily basis of exactly where I am and to check off everything that I need to do. I find it really hard though to sort of give myself recognition for it, because it's almost like these are the sort of the jobs, and then then there's expectations. That's what I need to do, rather than saying that's what I've accomplished, which I find quite hard to recognize myself for it.
Interesting. Yeah. What about you, Troy? Any areas you can think of that are improving?
No, I don't know. Again, well, I don't.
No, this is good. I didn't.
I don't. I don't know. I'd have to.
There are so many already. I know. I wait till I
Yeah.
get to Faith and I get to give her credit, and she just like, oh my god.
I don't know. I hadn't thought about it. I guess maybe, the hard side of it, again, trying to deal with everything going on family wise. I feel like I'm kind of improving there, because I am having to hold a little higher standard for things that I'm doing. So yeah, maybe a little decline on the physical body side of it, but.
Well, remember, sometimes we have to pull back intentionally, or even sometimes it's unintentional, on those areas of the wheel that are doing really well. So for instance, my example I always use is, let's say that Faith was going to the gym 6 days a week, like 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours at night. Somebody would go, whoa, that's amazing. But if everything else is failing, and I said to Faith, I only want you to go once a day, 5 times a week, she would be going, my A is now going to be like, a B minus. And I'm going to go, yeah. So that this D over here in organization or relationships or whatever can increase. So for you, if your body quadrant, the nutrition piece, the, exercise was just going like crazy and doing awesome, and you had to dial it back a bit in order to deal with the family issues and the relationships and some of that stuff going on, that would make sense. But what you don't want is this in one section and over here in another and over here in another. To answer what I was thinking that you, hopefully thinking that you would think about, is personal growth, organization, the mindset quadrant, right? You're really working on all of those things. You're tracking things. That's that whole right side down there. I mean, you're more organized just even with this group here. So Faith, what about you? What areas of your wheel do you see some improvements?
I think I've had a big shift with exercise this week. I've really noticed that last week I was so focused on I need to do a mile, and it was like this is what I need to do each day, but it just wasn't working for me. I've always hated running. I've never really liked walking. If I didn't have sort of somewhere I needed to go to, it was like, why was I doing it?
Why?
What's the point? I know, I get you. I hear you.
So on like Monday, I just literally went for a walk. I thought I'm just going to walk, and just literally, if I saw a path, I just went off road a bit. And it was nice just to enjoy the walking, for being in the moment and just looking around and seeing what was around me.
Wow.
And that was like a big thing. And then so I did that for about 3 or 4 days, or even just walking down to the supermarket and taking the long way around, and just enjoying the walk. And also sort of like, if I'd had things going on during the day, it gave me time to process them. And
just heading off to the gym now. Just got ready after getting back, and this is day 4 now of consistently doing exercise every day. I'd say today is probably the day I've struggled most with it, just because I'm feeling tired, but I'm still getting up and I'm still going. So, even though it was hard to start, it's getting easier. Better than I came. I'm glad that I did it, because I was deciding whether just to sit down, but I didn't. I got up and did it. I'm glad I did.
Exactly.
just sort of have a little bit of self-care.
It's really nice sometimes when we can do some movement stuff and change it from have to want to. I want to ride my bike. I want to hike. I want to go walk in the forest. I want to kayak, whatever. You can do this. You and Troy can walk to the grocery store every day. Okay, I want to talk about what kind of eating, 2 types of eating, so you guys can think about this week, psychological or physical hunger, and kind of the differences in between those two. So psychological hunger, it kind of makes that is usually driven by an emotion. It can be a positive or a negative emotion, but when we think we're psychologically hungry, we usually end up at the pantry, right? Or we usually end up wanting to go get fast food or go to the gas station or whatever. It's a psychological hunger that usually is because you're sad or you're bored or you're lonely or blah, blah, blah. Sometimes it can come when you think of an event or you're having a birthday party where psychologically you may be wanting to devour what's in front of you, but you're not really hungry, right? And when you think of physical hunger, there are a lot of different things that you hear and see with physical hunger. Your tummy growls, you might get a headache, you're dizzy, cognitively you can't think. I mean, that's a true physical hunger. And when you're physically hungry, you usually end up standing at the refrigerator. If you're really physically hungry and you're famished and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm starving, you may not grab the chips. If you do, you probably know you're going to grab the crackers and then you're going to grab this and you're going to grab this. But if you're physically hungry, I want you to ask yourself, what am I craving? If you're craving more things like eggs, chicken, those types of things that are like healthy foods, then you are physically hungry. You are physically hungry. If you're standing at the pantry, just say to yourself, what am I feeling? Stop. What am I feeling? Think about what foods am I looking at? If you can't pronounce the ingredients, if 3 ingredients in, you still can't pronounce them, and it's junk food, it's usually a psychological pull. Those pretty colors on that those marketing teams have that figured out, don't they? Think about what else you could be doing instead with psychological. It's usually just about what you guys we were just talking about. Get moving, go outside, drink some water, have some nuts even, listen to a podcast, go for a walk, turn on some music, journal, anything that you can possibly do to put some minutes in between this going in here. Okay, so physical, and I have a pantry door hanger I'm going to mail you guys that tells you the difference that I put together years ago, the difference between psychological and physical hunger. Don't just eat to eat to eat. We got to get to the place where we get a little bit snobby. Okay, all right. Any thoughts from this week? Roy? Did you have a big aha this week?
I got to get off my ass. Honestly, that is a big one. I know I need to do it, and I just got to get myself to do it.
Okay, as we hover with you, I want you to think back. You have a 1-month goal. You guys all did these intake sheets. There was a weight loss or weight gain, a weight circumference type goal, and a non-weight goal. When I looked at all of your weight goals, your body type goal that you have, you had 1-month goals, 6-month, and 1 year. I want you to really think of whether that 1-month goal was realistic, because that's going to start to tell all of us what type of goal setter you are. Well, but I always come shy, right? Or hey, and I nail it, and hey, and I nail it. So start to process that. You're 2 weeks into your 1-month goal. There's some really lofty ones in here. Okay, you need to really think about that, because if you need to course correct, you need to do it now, because otherwise this goal didn't mean anything, which is another story, and that's okay. Your goal has to mean something, it has to be desirable and concise and attainable, all those things. So you got to take a little peeky-doo here. And then with TV and reduction of screen time, you really should be able to figure out now why that is being done. It's being done to give you more time to do other things. If you take that time, that unhealthy time that we're saving you, and turn it over here to some other unhealthy time, that's not the point right now. The point is to go, okay, well, I used to from 6 to 8 o'clock at night watch reruns or whatever, Golden Girls. I'm going to walk to the store and make my menus for this week. That's the kind of the transition I want you guys to do. Faith, what was one of your ahas this week, that overarching, a big one?
I think I had quite a few different ahas this week. I think one of the main ones was, because I've been eating more consistently, that how that's linked to emotions, and because sort of when you're actually sort of replace the hunger, then a lot of other things start to come up. So that was sort of like how that's all linked together.
That's really good. You guys, that's a proven thing. Okay, when you deprive the vessel of food and you don't hear the hunger and you don't sleep and you start to deprive this vessel, it's an emotional, there's some reasons there. You're avoiding some emotions that you need to deal with. Once you start answering your vessel's call, oh, I'm hungry, I'm going to eat. Oh, I have a headache, I'm going to take an Advil. Oh, my body's stiff, I'm going to do yoga. When you start answering this with that care, all sorts of other stuff, believe it or not, bubbles to hell up, right? And it can feel like, oh my gosh, what is this? But that's the stuff that's deep in there that you have to deal with. And we've just been deafening that with the other things that we're not doing for ourselves. This week, we're going to really stir up some emotions. We're going to write a letter. I think you watched last season, so you probably know exactly where we're headed. In our lives, we have people in our lives, and this isn't an exercise that's meant for you to restore this long lost friendship or relationship or boyfriend or, save the day. Doesn't mean there's going to be an outcome of any expectation other than you came from a sincere place in your heart and you did it to let go of some of your baggage, to toss some of your baggage off. You don't even have to give it to the person. Okay, you guys have heard this concept forever and a day, but I want you to think about it as if you are going to. You can go through your email list, your phone list, and I want you to just look at a name and go, is there someone here that has hurt me, that causes anger, that I blocked out a Facebook, block, because blank got bubbled up? Is there someone here that I have a good memory, because you do, or they wouldn't have hurt you so much, to have a shitty memory? Because people don't hurt us so much unless we'd already had them close to us. That's the reality. And you have some ownership to that shit. So if you look at John and John upset you, is there something that you could ever say to John, you know what? The other day I was mowing the lawn and I just thought about that funny time we did blank. And I was just thinking about you, just letting you know, hope you're doing well. Is there a way that you would ever consider, whomever that person is, to throw something out there like that? Would it be an email? Would it be a letter? Would it be a phone call? And I'm letting you decide how you would communicate, if you would communicate in the sense of sharing it with them or not. This week in the heart quadrant is to improve relationships. Remember, there are 3 categories of relationships: intimate, and then there's kind of the immediate, extended kind of. So you got your immediate spouse, husband, children, and then you've got your extended if you have in-laws, brother, sister, whatever, and then you've got your coworkers. Go full spectrum on this. Dig up some emotions, get yucky. So that's the write a letter. Can call, can do however that works. Kitchen audits, you guys went through and you did a part 2, and the part 2 was kind of to just get rid of a little bit more boxed, packaged foods, some of those other things, so we can kind of try to get you towards real foods. This week, one of the teacher's pets in the class, Faith, already jumped ahead. Great. I want you to look at utensils, appliances, dishes, plates, sponges, anything in that kitchen, and look at it and go, okay, why do I have 3 blenders? Okay, can I donate one? Do I need to toss one? Blah, blah, blah. Can one be wrapped for Christmas this year? Whatever. Go through them. If you have broken spoons, if you can go to Ross and buy all new cutlery, whatever it is to replace, you only have 3 forks and you have 8 spoons. This week is getting into the utensil part, decluttering and getting into the kitchen and dolling that up. Okay, that's part 3 of our audits. Wellness locks this week, getting deeper into them. So I'm glad you guys are already jumping ahead and kind of filling in all those components, because we're really going to start moving into macronutrients and tracking and kind of figuring out stories that you guys have. You have stories. Don't just do it to get the sticker. Peggy asked me to log foods. Oh, today's done. I want you to start looking back and going, whoa. That's why we track sleep and emotion, right? That's why we look at it and, you guys might go, oh my God, why am I so sore today? I did the same damn exercises that I've been doing for 2. Why am I so sore? But if you look back and you've had no protein and you're dehydrated and you're sleeping 3 hours, start to use some of your go to the dollar store again. Start to use some colored markers with things that are starting to fall out in certain areas for you. That will be the best, most fun, and the thing that you will learn so much about yourself this series when you start to use these logs. So you're going to start going into those even deeper using more sections, okay? So I want you to get into even coming up with some focus words or goals, right? Strength, determination, getting rid of excuses, whatever it is. All right, you guys ready for some other commitments? This one's tough. I got 2 tough ones. I already know Faith's not going to be happy with one. At all. And Troy might not be happy with one of the other ones. Okay, nutrition. Here's one. No fast food chains this week. I know right away, very first question. Is Subway a fast food chain? You go in and order something, you get it fast, it's fast food chain. Even if they're, Subway I struggle with, right? Because it's like you can get salads and things like that. You know what I mean by fast food. We're talking French fries, burgers, hot dogs, Wiener Schnitzels, okay? So no fast foods. Second thing, Faith, I hope this isn't you going to be mad at me. No caloried coffees, salted caramel lattes twice a day on a food log revealed last week, day 3 from Faith Pierce. Oh, I pay attention. Oh, yeah. I can hear her when she gets on. She's like, bitch. Yes, so good luck with that. We'll see how that goes. Exercise this week. These strength tests are on pause this week, but we're going to do a couple of things. Bridge. If you guys know what a bridge is, I'm going to post so you'll see the form for bridge. We're going to do 3 sets of 20 this week. We're going to help Troy lift those gluteus maximuses right up off of the hamstring that we sit on. None of us have butts anymore because we have secretaries' butts. So we're going to work on our buns of steel, Troy. Who was called Buns of Steel back in the day? Do you remember?
Yeah.
It was a video series. Who was that?
Who was it?
Tony
Little.
Little?
No, that was the guy. It was a chick.
Oh.
She had the Buns of Steel tapes. We digress, Faith. We remember. Okay, cardio. This week I'm going to post 3 videos. You can do your other programs as well, but I'm going to post 3 videos. You can do all 3 of them or pick one, but you have to do it at least 4 times this week. And some of them are funny. Exercise videos. If you decide to do them every day or 6 days, you get double stickers. So just think about it. You only need to do it 4 times this week. It's just fun. We're going to do a couple things more with food. We're going to do an exclusion and an inclusion. Okay, now let me talk to you about exclusions. Exclusions aren't to create black and white on and off behavior. Exclusions and inclusions are only experiments. See how you feel. So on your wellness log, kind of on that center where it talks about experiments, and it's like, try alcohol. Don't try alcohol. Try alcohol, Peggy. That's not one of them. Take away bread, take away meat, stuff like that. So one of the exclusions this week, as we said, is going to be no fast food and no flavored coffee. But the inclusion I would like you to try is tofu or chickpeas. Troy just spit on both of you. He has now spewed 3 times.
I did not.
So that is a try. 1 chickpea will help. I don't know what you'll do with the rest of the can, Troy, but good job. Now, the main thing with experiments, how do you feel? What were your thoughts even before trying them? How was your tummy after? All those emotions, all that type of stuff. Chronotype, right? So Dr. Bruce, Michael Bruce, The Power of When. I use this with all my clients. What happens with this is when you answer his particular questions, he categorizes you into 4 different animals based off of your answers. The answers help tell a person's internal clock, their biorhythm, their chronotype, based off of how their body uses their cortisol, melatonin, all that stuff. You guys took that test. Faith is a dolphin, and Troy and Rita are bears. Okay. This week, when we talk about sleep, I want you guys to really think about when you get up, when you go to bed. And in a second, we'll talk about sleep a little bit more in depth. Here are the time frames, a suggested time frame. I know people work at different schedules, get up different times, all that, but these are some of the suggested times to at least hover around to do certain things throughout the day based off of your chronotype. Understanding everybody's life is different, and I build this differently when we work one-on-one. But if we look at you guys, you're pretty similar on times to get up, right? Faith's might be 6:30. Rita gets up way before 7 a.m. But here, if you look at a bear needs a full 8 hours of sleep. They really need their sleep. Bears love people, food, love to frolic. They love their friends, like to party like rock stars. Dolphins most often deal with insomnia, restlessness. They're hardest critics on themselves. And you guys can play around with these clocks this week and trying to do some of the things based off of his suggestions. If you go down here, even exercises on here, trying to do these at different times. And I'm not saying because of your lifestyle, you're 168, you need to completely modify it. These are just some suggestions. But if you look at when it is to go to bed, these may be way off for you guys. Often people go to bed too early. If they'd hold up a little bit, they'd sleep more sound for when they need to get up. I'm not saying that that's your case, but what are your thoughts on your wake up time? You guys, the bears get up earlier than this, right? Troy and Rita?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm up like at 5:45.
Yeah, I'm about the same.
Okay. What time do the bears go to bed?
I start getting ready at 9.
Okay.
But by 10:30, I'm in bed.
Okay.
I usually go to bed about 9:15-ish, somewhere in that general vicinity.
Okay.
And I'm usually try to be asleep by 9:45 or 10. So
nice. Okay. So you guys are pretty good. So what this week maybe we'll start to take some pay attention to some other areas of your clock. Over here, what about you, Faith? What time do you usually get up?
I haven't used alarm clocks for years because I normally wake up for 6:30 anyway. But I think sort of more recently I've been more tired, so it's been sleeping longer.
Okay, Faith, I'm American again. So 4 6 is 6:30, 6:45.
6:30.
6:30. I learn something every week. I swear. Okay, what time do you go to bed, honey?
That can vary. It's normally any time from 11, 12 onwards. But it could be any time to 3 a.m. So
yes. Dolphins struggle with sleeping, you guys. Dolphins have to. They're one of those cycles that are like, do what you can do when you feel like doing it and get it done. And the consistency, which is part of what's going to drive Faith's personality crazy, is finding consistency to do things can be a struggle because it might work for her this week and then not work next week. Working out in the morning this week might be great, but then her energy and everything shifts and it's like, and this week, no, too emotional, can't do it, got to sleep in because this week I got to do it. That's the tough. But if you think about the oceans, how resilient a dolphin is, that's why he picked that animal. Sometimes they're with others, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're over here eating whatever. So it's really, bears are always in the den playing around with each other, eating honey. They're consistent as hell. All right, so we're going to take a look at that. You guys know that when you're getting ready for bed, it sounds like you guys kind of got it figured out. We got to lower your carbs in your last meal. You don't want to eat a bunch of, pasta and you have it at 6 o'clock at night if you need to stay up to kind of till 10, right? The last thing I want you to do is go to bed at 7 o'clock and then get up at 3. You guys aren't having that issue, so I'm not too worried about you. When you track data, I told you that the first second that we met, I love data. And it's because if you run from it, then that's a problem right there in and of itself. But at least if you have it and we go back and we let go of the emotion, just say, hey, it is what it is. But we got to figure out why. Why do you keep doing it? Why does it happen? Because if you're consistently not doing something, it still shows you're good at it. it shows that you're good at doing something, right? If you can do something consistently, healthy or unhealthy, you're capable. So there should be some stories starting to fall out, whether it's food, whether it's emotions, right? What about you, Faith? Any thoughts going into this next week? Catwoman?
Well, I've got a week off work the next week, so it's going to be, I think, it's more interesting for me because I struggle more on the weekends when I've not got the structure of work around working times. I've also got quite a bit of sort of things that I need to sort out sort of around my house, and so it'd be quite interesting to see how to structure that.
Now that's another amazing thing, this timing, right? For her to literally have a week of this is what my life is like working, and then this is what during the docuseries is a whole week off looks like. That is so helpful to be able to figure out what you're going to do and how far it could either jump you forward or pull you back. It'll be interesting. Troy, feel the feels. Good luck, Faith. We're here for you. Troy, what about you for this week? Don't tell me any shit you're not going to do.
I'll just be quiet then.
That ain't even bullshit. That's horseshit. Okay.
No, I'm kind of looking forward to looking back at the stuff from this week and seeing how different it was with my work schedule being different, kind of normal, and with everything else going on, and kind of looking at how that works together or doesn't work together, and find that commonality and try to figure out where I can work through it and around it. And
yeah, you'll be able to watch that weight because you've got the sleep up in the corner of that log and you've got the weight up there. And when that weight's, you can even take another sheet of paper, right? I'll have people put poster board and the dates, and they'll put their weight and they just start tracking it. And then they start looking at those and going, oh, what the heck was that week? What did I do so awesome that week? And then they're looking and they're going, happy. 8 hours of sleep. I'm like, oh, this is what I ate. And then they'll write down that week's of food and go, oh, that's the menu the week I can fall back on when I want to have an awesome week. It starts to you really start to run out of excuses every week.
No, you do. That's true.
Yeah.
And I noticed over the last few days, I have slept a lot less the last few days just because travel and doing things.
Absolutely.
And that's where I had the biggest weight fluctuation. It's exactly where it was at. So,
sleeping in somebody else's bed makes a big difference when it comes to the scale. And altitude does. I've seen it a million times with clients when they're flying around. The only difference could say they bring all their own foods. Different bed, altitude, 3 pounds, 5 pounds. It's crazy. All right, you guys. Well, see you next week. Dial up that inner beast. Troy, run those stairs, man. Get outside. Get away from the couch. Wonder Woman, peeled off all those problems. Catwoman's going to be just crawling through her house, organizing her stuff. All right, you guys. I'll see you next week. Talk to you soon. Bye. You've been watching Coach Peggy Real Time, a transformation coaching docuseries, and we are so grateful that you come back each week to support the cast, and hopefully you at home are absorbing some of the strategies and tools and improving the quality of life that you have, and maybe you'd like to hop on over to Coach Peggy Real Time, a Facebook group where the cast is sharing some of the experiences they're having, and we'd certainly love to hear about yours. If you would like to be a part of upcoming seasons, or you'd like to be a part of Coach Peggy Real Time groups, which is not public, you're going to find that information at coachpeggyrt.com.